Hello, welcome to Shad Life. Well, the We the People Swampmaster arrived. It didn't take long at all. I pre-ordered it and then it shipped and it's already here. So that's pretty surprising how quickly it comes. If you're ever wondering, I order most of my BMX stuff through Albees, ALBES.com. I don't know, they've always just done a really good job of shipping my orders and everything, and it's always correct. And I can't even remember. Oh, I think it was the Haro Steel Reserve. There was like a scratch on the frame or something, and they gave me a discount and stuff like that. So, like, they're just really good service. So, albies.com. Let's get into this. Before I unbox this, this is probably one of the most controversial bikes I've seen in BMX in a long time for two reasons. We'll start with the first reason. First reason is Ruben Alcantara. He started this project in, I don't even remember, 2018 maybe, 2017, 2018 or something like that. Promoted it a whole bunch. They did all these prototypes, did all this work, and they basically figured out what makes a good full suspension BMX bike for their purposes, right? But then they didn't come out with a product like very quickly. And the next thing you know, We the People, not related to what Ruben was doing, announces the Swampmaster around 2020, and there's all this controversy, all this hate towards We the People for stealing Ruben's idea and so on and so forth. But if you really think about, if you come up with an idea and a product and you start, boasting about it without having proper patents, without, doing certain things, and protecting the rights to your idea, somebody's going to steal it. And unfortunately, I think people just assume the BMX community or the BMX world is not going to ever do that, but it's never been the case. A larger, more financially stable company can make something like this happen much easier than some small time people just trying to piece something together and make it happen. Yeah, I get the controversy, and I get why people are upset because they think We the People, well, it's not even we think they stole it. They did steal the idea from Ruben, and I forget the other guy's name. There was another person partnering with him. So it is what it is. It's the world we live in. If you ever come up with an idea, and it's a pretty cool idea or genius idea, we'll talk about that next. Make sure you protect your idea before you go boasting about it, because that's the danger, the risk is if somebody else gets a hold of it and they have more money and capability, they might steal your idea, right? Second thing, and this talks about cool, is it a cool idea? This is the next controversial thing in BMX. BMX is a very purist sport. It's very unlike mountain biking. Mountain biking, it can be all over the place. You've got cross-country riders, you got free riders, you got cross-country riders jumping, doing big old whips and stuff in their tights. You got all this stuff going on in mountain biking, and nobody seems to really care. They think it's all pretty cool and stuff. BMX is a lot more elitist in a way, or purist, we could say. Maybe not elitist, but they're more purist towards the true meaning of what BMX is. So coming out with a full suspension BMX bike kind of goes against that a little bit. It's like it's not a very purist BMX thing. Is it cool? Well, I think it is, because I feel like if we talk about ideas and things in general, we should never limit ourselves on what we do or try or whatever. And I honestly have no idea if I'm going to like this thing. I might ride it and be like, this is terrible. Like, why did I even buy this thing, right? That could happen, very likely. Or I might think it's cool, but it only fills a certain niche, and I'm kind of assuming that's going to be the case. I don't think this is going to be like a wonderful skate park bike or street bike and stuff. Maybe street for gaps and stuff like that, but not for grinding and doing technical tricks. But will it be a cool dirt jump bike? Especially for somebody like me that's older, that might not mind having a little bit of suspension on the landings, especially when you have a smaller wheel and stuff. I don't know. But enough of that. It is what it is. You're either going to think this is cool or you're going to hate this thing for whatever reason, right? But here it is. I'm going to unbox it and take a look at it and give my first impressions. Let's do it. Okay, let's pull it out of the box and get at least the initial impression. I love the fact that this has huge tires because I think that's what's going to make this actually somewhat work. I mentioned that before. Get this out of here. Look at how big those tires are. So there it is. Like usual, it's got a lot of packaging on it. So I'm going to tear all this off, put it in the stand, and we'll talk about it a little more. Okay, so I got it out, got all the packing off, and just kind of gave it a quick little view to see my initial thoughts. And there's some cool things. I do like that it has like a high engagement hub. Things need to be a little adjusted back here. Obviously the brake isn't aligned, so the assembly of this isn't very great. Like I'm gonna have to pretty much go through and tune everything on it. But it is what it is. It's got a real RockShox shock. I don't know which model it is. I'll look at that later. It does have a true Manitou DJ fork on it. The real deal, so that's nice. It's not cheapy, right? And looks like good, just quality build throughout. The one thing that I already know I don't like, the decision that was made here was to go with these hydraulic brakes. There's a couple of reasons for that. I feel like they could have gone with some decent quality mechanical brakes, like Avid BB7s or something like that. The main reason for that would be this is a BMX bike. It's not set up to run the cable through the stem, which is kind of a BMX necessity. If you want to turn the bars and stuff, you just don't want to have to deal with a cable in the way. If you wanted to do a bar spin, you might want to put a gyro or something on here, which you can't really do with hydraulic brakes. Yes, they do make some kind of gyro mechanisms for hydraulic brakes, or you get an extra long cable and you can wrap it around, all that stuff, right? But I just think with mechanical brakes, you could have went with a gyro. I wouldn't have equipped the bike with a gyro, but I would have given the option for somebody to run one. And then I would have for sure ran the front brake cable through the stem. Hydraulic or not, they could have at least done that. So brakes, I'm not too happy with. And again, there are these Tektro brakes with these huge levers, and with a BMX bar, you can't, there's not a lot of room to move them in. So look at how much lever there is in the way of where I'm going to have my hand. Again, for BMX, you kind of want this to be the clear zone. You don't want a brake lever in there. And I don't even like that on my mountain bikes. I move my levers as far in as I can so they don't interfere with my hands. So the brakes are kind of already a fail in my book. Aside from that, everything else looks good. I mean, they're nice wheels. I love that it has these huge tires. They have more of a motocross type tread pattern on them. Let me pull this other wheel over here and you can see the tread pattern. These Kenda, what are they? Kenda what's? Kenda, they don't even have like a model name. I guess not. Oh, here they are. Kenda Chaos Sport, right? And it just has kind of more of just a blocky, old school kind of traditional dirt tread pattern. Again, very BMX-like to follow the contour of the tire, which I do like. BMXers don't really like tall slide knobs that flex. We're almost always on hard pack. So hard pack, you want that more rounded, follow the contour of the tire tread, stuff like that. They do look like they're 3LR Pro. I don't know what that means in Kenda terms. I'm not sure if it means harder in the middle, softer on the sides, or anything like that. I can look that up later. These rims, I don't know how to pronounce this. Eclat, something like that. I know the company, but I just don't know how to pronounce their name. I'm so glad it comes with reflectors because, you know, you really need those. Anyway, let's get this fully assembled and then we'll talk about it some more. Okay, here it is. Set up mostly. I still got, I got to check the air on the suspension and set all that up and everything. But I have it together. I did move the brakes in as far as I can. Problem with BMX handlebars is when you get to the curve, the levers start to turn up like that. And so you can really only move them so far. Yeah, I mean, if I have my hands on the far outside, I can one finger them and not like crush my middle finger, but still not a huge fan of these giant levers. I get it on like the lowest end of lowest end bikes, like mountain bikes and stuff like that, but they could have made a much better decision when it comes to brakes, in my opinion. Yeah, anyway, enough on that. It just kind of baffles me why companies make such terrible decisions when it comes to brakes. Tektro, hydraulic brakes, so they can brag about hydraulic brakes maybe. But that will probably be the first thing I want to swap out is I'll probably just get myself some speed dial, Avid levers, and some Avid BB7 brakes. And I will be happy with mechanical, and then I will swap this out for hollow stem bolt, so I can run the cable through the fork and just do it more like a BMX bike would actually need. And then I'm not going to bother with a gyro or anything because I'm not a high enough level rider where I'm going to be spinning the bars or anything like that. But I do want it to be more BMX than mountain bike. And right now, these brakes just scream just typical mountain bike brake setup and not really a BMX brake setup. So enough on the brakes, but everything else, it seems really cool. I know I'm ranting about the brakes, but this fork has true lockout. Like, that is amazing. And I have a feeling that if you land hard enough, it'll give you some cushion. I think one click in, was that? Okay, this is lockout. Okay, one click in, there's a full click. It gets pretty soft, so that means I'm going to probably need to put a little more air in there, but the fact that you have true lockout on a bike like this is pretty cool. And then, I can go all the way here, and then it's just like super soft, right? And it is an air fork, which is nice, so I can put the proper amount of air pressure in there and have it set up. The fork has rebound. That's really important. So you can get that set up for jumping and stuff, which is basically what this bike's going to be used for. So I've talked about it before, but a little more rebound in the front, so the front comes up, and then you can set rebound in the rear to be a little slower so the back doesn't buck on you. And then the rear does have a lever too, so you can go from lockout to open. And there's a mid setting, so typical rear shock. So decent suspension setup. I'll have to look up. I'll put it down here what the shock is on the rear. The front is a Manitou Machete. DJ fork, which is cool. Handlebars, legit BMX bars, legit BMX sim. All the parts are like higher end, high quality stuff. Legit 48 spline cranks, aluminum sprocket, not steel. So they didn't cheap out on anything. Legit. What do we call this again? The seat that goes through here. Anyway, pivotal seat. Legit wheels, legit hub, everything is legit. So I like it that they put good components on it, standard in BMX, we usually run plastic pedals like this. These are nice pedals for BMX. We the People pedals. Yeah, it's pretty good. The next thing you want to know is how much does it weigh? We're going to hit the scale here in a second. Doesn't feel terrible, but it is a little heavier than a regular BMX bike. And of course I would probably lower the seat. I only had it this high so it would go in the stand. And so on and so forth. So let's weigh it, see how much it weighs, and then we'll conclude this video. Okay, I got it in the stand. Oh, it's actually a little heavier than I thought it was. 31, we're just going to say 31 pounds. 31 pounds for the We the People Swampmaster in its stock form. Okay, so there you have it, 31 pounds. The next steps are to go through it really quickly, get everything dialed in exactly how I want it. And then I'll get it out riding and do some videos on that and let you know what I think about it. Kind of cool. I want to just add this before I conclude. We the People markets this as the first ever full suspension BMX bike, and that is absolutely not true. Not even close to true. Even at that Faction Barbecue, I showed a full suspension BMX bike from way back in the 70s. They were actually a thing in the 70s. Many companies made them. I'm going to put some pictures around showing you the few that were around back then. I think Yamaha, Honda, I think all the motorcycle companies were doing it. But this is not the first ever full suspension BMX bike. Is it, you know, coming full circle to, you know, having one after not one being around in many years? Sure, but it is not the first full suspension BMX bike. And I wish companies wouldn't market like false information like that. You know, they might want to sound cool or whatever, but it's not true. They're not the first ones to make a full suspension BMX bike by any means. So they should take that off their website, honestly. It might even send them an email on that, to be honest, because that bugs me when companies do that. They should know better. All right, I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.